Broker Daily Spotlight. Delving into the next big areas of focus in mortgage lending.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Broker Daily Spotlight. Your host Jack Campbell here, joining you for another episode. We have a special guest today on the podcast, General Manager of Third Party at Bankwest, Ian Rakhit. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Great to have you on. We last time we were chatting, it was up on stage at the Broker Innovation Summit in Sydney. So
great event.
Yeah, and now we're at a desk rather than in front of the big crowd. But I hear you enjoyed your day. We were just talking before the episode and saying you had a good time over there.
Yeah. I think innovation is what this industry is all about. I think brokers have been at the forefront of innovation for a long, long time. You know, I go back to when brokers used to fax applications to lenders, and every broker knew every credit manager, and deals were done on a Friday afternoon over a long lunch, and how we've moved now towards automation of everything, and so great to be part of the innovation event, and we'll continue to support it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was great to have you there. I know you guys are doing a lot in the space, which we will definitely get into in this episode, but it is pretty incredible how far it's come in, a few decades. I was talking with a relationship manager on a podcast that's actually releasing today at the time of speaking, and he's been in the industry for 40 odd years and in third party for 24, and he was going on about how fax machines are the way of the past and how it's come to AI and automation and how it's so hard to keep on top of as someone that's not quite used to it, because it is the new frontier, right? There's so much you have to stay on top of now, but opportunities galore, right?
Definitely. And I think, the AI revolution, if we want to call it that, is going to be faster than anything we've seen before. If you think of internet and how internet changed our lives, all the commentary is that AI is going to have a bigger impact on our lives, but in a much quicker and shorter space of time. So we're at Bankwest looking to be engaged in that and making sure that what we build is helping our efficiency, therefore helping brokers and their customers. So we can talk a bit about that as well, if you wish.
Well, definitely. It's a great segue into that. But I know you spoke about it at the Innovation Summit, some of the advancements that you guys are making in tech, a big priority on AI. As you said, it's the way of the future. So you guys are obviously leveraging that. What are some of the big investments that you guys are making in technology at the moment?
So I think all lenders are really trying to meet broker and customer need on time to approval. That's a real proof point, key positive in your proposition. If you can consistently deliver a decision to a broker in hours, not days, and days, not weeks. So how you do that is by using more and more data, and that's certainly where we're focusing. Again, I don't want to keep going back to days of fax machines, but I recall valuations used to be done by a valuer physically going to a property. They take their step ladder so they could go into the attic. And, now we have the majority of our valuations done on a desktop. So actually the system, and we engage brokers and allow brokers the same access to our valuation systems free of charge. So the ability to be able to take something that used to take days into literally minutes and get a valuation decision there and then is one example of how you can use data instead of longer processes of the past. I think the next one for us, which we're very excited about, and I did talk about this on stage at the Innovation Summit, was the ability to read a pay slip, and a very complex pay slip, and give the bank and the broker the income amount that we would use. We all know pay slips are no longer straightforward of just simply base pay multiplied by 26 or 52 or 12, depending on how frequently a customer gets paid. But nowadays, with pay slips having allowances, overtime, deductions, salary sacrifices, colleagues at Bankwest can take up to 10 minutes to really pull a pay slip apart and say, this is the income figure we will use. there is a tool we're looking at the moment, and we've put a number of pay slips in it that within 18 seconds will give us what it will take a human 10 minutes to do. So that immediately improves our time to yes, but it also allows us to really scale up how many applications we can do, because a bank of our size, we need to make sure we're consistent as well as being quick. And what brokers don't like is you're really popular at the moment, you've got a good price, a good proposition, you then take a high share of business and then you fall over on your service. So what we're really conscious to do is to build our service whilst we improve our proposition. So those are just two tech examples. One is valuations, which we're going to continue to invest in to give sharper and sharper results across all LVRs. At the moment, we use desktops largely under 80%. We want to take that to be above 80% lending, and then being able to do income validation quickly and immediately and give that figure back to the broker immediately, so they know within their service calculation what income Bankwest are going to use.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you're on the money there. We look at the news, obviously, Broker Daily, every day, the reports that come in, and a lot of broker surveys, and speed and efficiency is always, up there. If it's not number one, it's number two of the top consideration for brokers. And mirroring that, our research partner, Agile Market Intelligence, do a survey with a lot of different lenders, and the broker usage rates at lenders are always higher with the ones who have faster turnaround times.
Yes.
So it goes hand in hand, right? They want to be able to deliver results to their customers quickly.
And I think if there's one thing I've noticed over, say, the past 2 or 3 years, is price has become a secondary or a third factor compared to speed to approval and also credit policy. The ability for the lender to say upfront a definite yes, we can do that deal, or alternatively immediately no, we can't. And allowing the broker then to say, right, I've got 52 lenders on my panel, but I can actually narrow that down to if the customer needs speed because they may be in a purchase and they're up against other customers for that property and need speed to approval, and that's a consideration. If it's I just want the cheapest, then that's a consideration. But if it's actually my circumstances are that not everybody's going to lend to me, then the ability for the bank to be able to say, yes, this is a deal for us. So, the latest AI tool that we've used, I've talked about the next, which is payslips, is we actually have put all our credit policy into an AI tool. So on our broker portal, bankwestbrokers.com.au, a broker can actually ask a question and get the answer to our 21-page policy document immediately in answer to that question. And that really helps then, again, get the broker really comfortable with, is this a Bankwest loan or not? Are we on the table or not? Yeah. And that allows us then, as we update our credit policy and continue to sharpen our policy if we need to, then that can be fed straight through AI, straight to the broker for them then to be used in client interviews and so on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's very important to be equipping brokers with these tools now more than ever, because unique customers, I think, are more abundant now than they ever been. You've got so many self-employed people, and that's only increasing. So you mentioned the pay slips part there in your tech. I think that's never been more important, because more and more customers are branching off and going on their business journey, and they've got unique circumstances, unique income streams, and that makes it harder for a broker, right, to do their job. And they have to be a bit more due diligent about how they're approaching a loan.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, you mentioned self-employed. If there's one segment that we were very underweight in, it was self-employed. 3 years ago, we did an analysis of each sort of customer segment and said, what is the market size, and then where we're Bankwest. And we went out and spoke to a lot of brokers about what is it that you need from a lender when you're considering a business owner, self-employed, whether they pay themselves or whether they just take a director's income or pay themselves more regularly. And we were then able to go back and build a self-employed proposition that took our flow from sort of 20% of our loans up to over 40% of our loans. Really good quality business, really good lending choices, and put us on to brokers' pads that perhaps hadn't dealt with us before. Yeah. So we've a couple more of those types of customer segments that we're looking at. But I won't share those just yet, because there'll be my friends and peers and competitors will be listening to this. but more to come. And the reason for that is we want to serve brokers in increasing numbers. We are, at the moment, Bankwest, over 90% of our flow comes from broker. Broker, therefore, is incredibly critical to the future of Bankwest. So we need to continue to refine and not say, well, we've got a great self-employed policy, let's sit on our hands, but say, well, where's the next opportunity where either the market's moving or brokers are telling us increasingly, here's a group of customers I don't consider Bankwest for. And then we say, right, what is it we can do? Be that on speed to approval, be that on credit policy, be that on price. What is it you're looking for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, more to come is always a good thing. It's refreshing to hear that you guys aren't staying stagnant. You're continuing to push forward. But I think even more important is that you're getting out there and actually speaking to brokers and asking them what they want from a lender. I think that's extremely important, and you guys have been, working with brokers from the very beginning, right?
We have, well before my time, but as brokers started 30 and a bit years ago, interestingly, Bankwest in Perth was one of the very first lenders to work with brokers. So we've got a really long history. In fact, I got my MFAA certificate the other week for 30 years of membership of the MFAA, not Ian Rakhit, but Bankwest. And I think that has put us in good stead right from the very start. We really understood the power of the distribution of products through brokers and that ability really to extend our reach to customers. We no longer today have a branch network, so we're very reliant on brokers to distribute our product, to give us the brand name out there, and to do that, you've got to make sure that you listen to brokers. And indeed, we have a program called Built by Brokers, which we put a stamp on whenever we get something through that has come directly from broker feedback. We get a lot of brokers, East and West Coast, talking to us about, you're looking at solving this issue for us. Here's a few ways you can do it. And we've done that on what I spoke about with valuations. We've done it on identification. We've done it on credit policy. I'm a big believer in the person who's got the answer is the person closest to the customer. And in Bankwest, that is the broker. So we very much engage with brokers in order to get, their feedback on what solutions we should build.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys have been doing it for 3 decades now.
That's right. We should know what we're doing.
Yeah, so veterans at this point.
Good.
So I imagine through that time working with brokers for so long that the support structures that are in place have to be of top priority, right? Making sure that brokers are able to lean on you guys when they need you for support. Is that something you implement, through your BDMs and your contact centres?
Yeah, I've always been a fan that every broker deserves a BDM. So across, we've got 19,000 brokers accredited, and every broker has a named BDM. And the reason for that is then some of our most regular supporters rarely speak to their BDM because they really understand what Bankwest is about, but they know that there is somebody on the end of the phone or somebody that are able to come into their office if there is a problem. But I also like the fact that, this is an industry where we're continuing to attract new people into the market. And to be able to say somebody at accreditation, here is your Bankwest contact point, and they're on the road, they'll come and visit you, they'll sit in your office, they'll help train you beyond the accreditation, I think is really important. And we've done very well at supporting brokers right from their first day to then as they really become the next round of superstars in the industry. We've been there with them right from the beginning, and brokers remember that. You don't do it because of that, but I think the fact that every broker's got a BDM is part of the strength of our proposition. And just on that, each of our BDMs has a desk-based BSM, a broker support manager, and they're the people who answer the emails, manage the pipeline, because in order that the BDMs can be on the road, the BSMs are there to be able to answer stuff if we need to. The last thing I would talk to, though, is our portal. So we closed the number of our branches on the East Coast in sort of 2017, 18, and we reinvested that saving from the branches in our broker portal. And people listening to this will know at a time our broker portal was head and shoulders above others. Fair play, now others have now really met and give us good competition for the best broker portal. What the broker portal is designed to do is to self-serve. So great, if I've got a BDM, that's fantastic. If they've got an offsider, that's fantastic. But actually, brokers like to do it themselves, and broker admin like to do it themselves. So I talked about valuations before. You can do pricing, front book and back book. And I just want to maybe spend a couple of minutes on that because yes, it's important we acquire customers, but it's just as important that we retain those customers.
Yeah.
And we're still one of the very few lenders that within the broker portal, the broker can see all of their Bankwest customers. They can see key moments if there's an interest-only period finishing or a fixed rate finishing. And if necessary, they can reprice that loan. If they look at that interest rate and think, I think there might be something better, they can reprice that loan. And I talked about a pay slip in 18 seconds. An actual reprice takes 12 seconds. We time these things because it's quite a nice proof point to be able to say, we will reprice your customer in order to try and save that customer if that customer is shopping around for a better rate or something. So important that we have people, BDMs, broker support managers, equally important that brokers can self-serve. And again, a lot of our investment post the WA branch closures that we did last year is going into our broker portal. So again, more to come in terms of what we can offer the brokers to be able to self-serve for themselves.
Yeah, well, very exciting. And I think it's important to have a bunch of different areas that brokers can receive support because, you know, it's a vibrant industry. We have record high market share. We have record high participation rates from brokers. And within that, there's so many different segments of brokers. You got people that have been in industry for a couple months versus people that have been here for decades.
For the 30 years,
yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously they're not going to need the same level of support from their BDM as someone who's fresh to industry. So I think that's important to understand the full spectrum of the broker that's in the industry, right?
Good, absolutely. And that's why we exist. So, you know, we need brokers, critical channel for us to meet our goals. 90+% of our flow comes via brokers. We need to be there when brokers need us. And if they don't need us because they can self-serve, that's absolutely fine. But our broker portal continues to be one of the best in the industry. We know our BDMs. You mentioned before about the Momentum Agile Intelligence Report, you know, continue to be rated best in industry. And we spend a lot of time each month looking at what brokers are telling us about our credit policies, our service, our BDMs, and so on.
Yeah, I think the lenders that do the best are the ones that keep their ear to the ground and make sure they're engaging with their partners in order to continue moving forward. But in saying that, going back to brokers, why do brokers deal with you when you speak to brokers and you ask them that question? What's the thing that springs to mind?
I think those that have been around a long time, I think know that we've been around a long time supporting brokers. There's a lot of my leadership team been working in the broker market with Bankwest in excess of 8 years. You know, I've got a very long tenure of both leaders and BDMs that I think give brokers confidence you're not just a quick hit here to tick a box on your career development plan and then you'll go and do something else. So longevity builds deeper relationships. I think it also builds trust. I've led this team since 2010. So I think, you know, that dependability, I hope, comes from just knowing us and knowing a lot about us. So I think that's the first. The second is we've invested in the channel. So we've had more BDMs over the last couple of years. We've invested in credit coaches. So now I've got a team of 12 credit coaches that work hand in hand with BDMs and with brokers. And then we've invested in technology, as I've said. So when brokers say to us, why Bankwest, we can point to our people, we can point to our technology, and we can point to our sort of increasing support. And then when things are controversial in the market, or when lenders take stances on different things, and I'm certainly not here to challenge the way other lenders do things, we've always tried to take a stance of what is best for our partnership with brokers. So, you know, I talk a lot about clawback. We are told by senior members of the industry the fairest clawback, you know, where clawback reduces from day one all the way through 18 months. And we look at clawback probably every couple of years and just go, are we still comfortable with the model?
Yeah.
And we are comfortable with the model. Now, I want to stress, that's fine for Bankwest. That doesn't mean it's fine for other people. Let everybody make their own decision. But for me, it's always about how can you stand up and say we are truly trying to partner without having some real fundamentals. And so those are the sorts of fundamentals, I think, why brokers deal with us. And then, of course, it's about how good is your price, how good is your policy, how good is your service. But fundamentally, if I've got good people, good technology, and I'm invested in a partnership, that gets us through the door, and then it's whether what we've got suits the customer and suits the broker when they're looking to place a loan.
Yeah, well, I think, as you mentioned, trust is massively underrated when it comes to the broker-lender relationship, and I find that there's a lot of correlation between what borrowers want from their broker is the same as what a broker wants from their lender. It's the speed, it's the trust, it's the genuine connection and relationships, which is exciting to see that it's still upheld among lenders. So on the flip side of that, with the brokers that may not deal with you, what would you say to them as a final message?
Very good. So I think if you've not looked at Bankwest previously, have a look at us. We are quicker to approval now than any time during my 15 years at Bankwest. We look a lot at surveys. I'll just do a quick plug. Connective do a monthly report across their 4,000 plus brokers, and we were second fastest to approval for it's quite a significant number of loans. So, that should give connective and non-connective brokers an opportunity to say it's a good housing market. There's plenty of transactions about. Bankwest are quick. We've got a couple of policy niches which we know are very strong. So I've talked about self-employed. We're strong on investors. We're also strong on expats. So if a broker has any expat clients, we're certainly there for consideration. I think we've talked about in-life support for the broker. So, a broker may say to me, but I can get something slightly cheaper. The ability, though, to be able to keep in touch with that customer through the broker portal and know what rate that customer's on and whether the broker's doing 6-month reviews or annual reviews, to have that information. I said to brokers, what's that worth? Compared to perhaps going for the cheapest rates in the market today, but then not in life being able to manage that customer as easily. So I think my message is we're doing extremely well. We're a very solid, long-standing supporter of the broker channel. But of course, we will win or lose our reputation and my words on come and deal with us. And then when you deal with us, see how good we are. And then you can either challenge me and say, what you said wasn't quite right, or you can say you absolutely lived up to that, and here's the next client and here's the next opportunity to work with us.
Oh, well, there you go, brokers. Here to hear from Ian. Come and deal with us, the main message. But unfortunately, all we got time for today. But Ian, thanks for joining us on the show.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thanks to everyone else listening. If you want to visit more content, visit brokerdaily.au. If you want to reach me directly, if you want to chat through about anything in this episode today, that's editor@brokerdaily.au. Thanks again for listening.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.